Let's jump right into our headline topic, which is, of course, the Apple Mac Mini with their new M4 processor. Apple began the week by announcing a new Mac every day to help keep the doctor away, I guess, right? Like, that's got to be the joke. Is that the joke? I hope so.
I guess so.
They began with the M4 iMac, finally, got a new iMac, followed by the redesigned Mac Mini and a refreshed lineup of MacBook Pros. In addition to the M4, Apple likewise announced the M4 Pro, which is available for the Mac Mini and MacBook Pro lineup, and the M4 Max.
iMac?
Sorry?
Not the iMac?
No, the iMac was only M1 last time around, if I recall correctly.
I wonder why.
I'm could be a little rusty on that, but if I recall correctly, it was only available because I don't know. It's just it's basically a screen with a basic computer in it, I think is kind of the idea. It's the Facebook surfing machine.
Sure.
People would probably give them a hard time if it did have a high-end processor in it because it would be priced so much for such a basic Facebook browsing machine. All right, anyway, hold on. And the M4 Max, and the M4 Max, which is only available in the MacBook Pros. Macs with an M4 Pro or Max will now have multiple Thunderbolt 5 ports rather than Thunderbolt 4, which I'm extremely excited about. We'll talk about in just a moment here. And for the first time, the newest generation of iMac will have support for 2 screens. All right, the Mac Mini, though, is the one that I want to talk about because some of the notes are, we didn't give them much time to work on the notes today. And unfortunately, I really need to look at the doc here 1 second, or at my spreadsheet where I added the topic. M4, here we go. Nope, this is a previous week. Oh boy, we're off to a really good start today. Okay, the Mac Mini. Luke, let's go shopping.
Okay.
That's what I want to do for this segment.
All right.
So I'm going to be a Mac and you're going to be a PC.
Oh, boy.
So I'm going to go on apple.com. I'm just going to pick another country or region.
Sorry, hold on. I blue screened.
Got him. So I'm going to go to the United States and you're going to go on PC Part Picker. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to shop for a Mac and you're going to try to build a PC for the same price as me. So for starters here, let's, here we go, Mac Mini, pre-order. Let's have a look at the price that you're going to be looking at. So we're going to go with let's go with the starting Mac Mini.
Okay.
That comes in at $599 US, $600 US. So Luke, why don't you put together a pretty decent machine for $600 US? Been a while since Luke has really,
shopped for
a computer because he's gotten them for free since he started here, which was like 12 years ago.
No, it was before then. Yeah.
I believe him. I believe in him. I believe that he can do it. And guys, chat, feel free to pitch in. Feel free to pitch in and give Luke some ideas for starting points for things like, CPU, if there's any...
And how much are motherboards?
Chipsets he should be looking at. Motherboard, man.
There's
motherboards
so much.
Have spiked in a big way.
They kind of ruined this whole thing, to be honest.
Like, you used to be able to get a pretty decent board for like $80 US, $90 US. Yeah. Like Canadian, you'd probably be looking at more like 115, 120. What? But now, like a decent motherboard, you're looking at like more like 120, 140 US dollars. Unless you're willing to make some compromises. There are lower end chipsets, but sometimes they can come with pretty bad compromises, especially if you want a machine that you're going to be able to kind of upgrade for a while, add more M.2 storage and stuff like that.
So wait, how much do I have? 600
You have $600 US dollars, yeah. And you're on PC Part Picker. I believe that's in US by default.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Okay, so guys, feel free to pitch in. I don't see anyone trying to help you, which is a little discouraging. Get a 4090. Sure. Oh, man.
How much RAM does yours have?
Okay. Yeah. So,
can I know some specs on your side?
Absolutely. This is very exciting. For the first time, I think ever, Apple has finally acknowledged that the year is now 2020 plus, and they no longer are offering a base model machine with only 8 gigs of RAM. They have 16 gigs of RAM in that base model. So Luke, why don't you go ahead and find yourself a 16 gig? What are you doing? No, don't do that. Build a computer. Jeez. Okay, so find yourself a nice 16 gig kit of RAM.
Smaller too. Power button's in the right place.
Sorry, memory.
Okay, yeah.
16 gigs?
Yeah, you need 16 gigs of RAM to match the base model new Mac Mini.
PCs are a little bit too based, which is part of the problem, because they automatically assume you want 2 times 16.
Yeah, you've got filters. Right? You've got filters over on the left.
You don't need that. You just need even more RAM.
Yeah, I suppose so.
The problem with this whole contest is that we are lowering ourselves.
Oh my goodness. Okay. But we're not actually competing. Just configure a computer, for crying out loud.
Are you a politician? You're too good at this.
This guy.
How much storage do you have?
Okay. That's where things do fall apart a little bit.
Assuming 1 terabyte?
I only get 256 gigs of storage.
Can I even select that?
I only get 256 gigs of storage. And that is a pretty frustrating thing that remains still about Apple's lineup, is how much they charge for really small amounts of storage. And what's especially frustrating about it for me is I know that a big part of why they're charging so much for it is that the sweet spot for price to capacity has moved past 256 gigs. So they're charging so much for it because it's just a terrible value on a component level to build such a tiny SSD these days. Mm-hmm. The sweet spot for capacity is probably more like in the 1 terabyte range now. With that said, I'm trying to think like how many dies would be on a 1 terabyte drive now. Is it 1 or 2 for the most part? I think it would be 2. I haven't looked that closely at them in the last probably year or so. Apparently you can do them with 1. Yeah, so that sweet spot is definitely more like in that 1 terabyte range. So you're basically just like wasting silicon to make 256 gig storage. So that's gonna kind of impede Luke because he's not gonna get a great deal on his SSD.
Yeah, it was $18.
Whereas if I start, that's pretty good.
Not that bad.
That's still pretty good actually. So it looks like there's a really broad sweet spot these days then, because you'll probably pay. That's a bad deal. Because the thing is, there's a certain amount of cost that is just in the cost of making anything at all and shipping it and QAing it and developing it. So there's only so cheap that you can make something. That's why you can buy a hard drive, like a modern hard drive, for $250, and you can't buy one that is 1/20th the capacity for $12. Because you still have to put a motor in it. You still have to ship it around the world. You still have to pay someone to assemble it. It's like there's just fixed costs that are associated with bringing a product to market at all. Okay, sorry, we're back on Luke's laptop. What do you got?
Do I need to buy an operating system?
Well, I mean, the Mac comes with one.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Well, but with that said, we have a video coming in a little while about how Windows doesn't necessarily, it can be obtained for a lot less than $120. So why don't you leave? You know what? I'm nothing if not gracious and benevolent.
Gracious and kind.
So leave out the operating system.
This is where I'm at currently.
Take the operating system out. Okay. So we're going to Luke laptop. Okay, what do you got? What do you got? Walk us through it.
Ryzen 5 7600X, which is the first thing I chose, so I didn't really spec it in too much.
Okay.
One of the cheapest motherboards I could find ended up being MATX.
Yep. Okay.
16 gigs of acceptable RAM. A SSD that you shouldn't buy, to be completely honest, but it fits the storage thing of your side. A relatively cheap MATX case.
Yep, but like attractive.
But it's all right. It's not bad.
You're going up against Apple. You're going to have a reasonably, decent looking case. Yeah, it looks nice.
I didn't go for just a piece of junk. And I found one of the cheapest 600 watt power supplies I could find, which is overkill wattage wise, but I didn't really want to get like something super sketchy.
Something that Lucas would warn you is going to blow up.
Yeah, this one was decently rated. It's sort of okay. I don't know.
Sure. Okay.
And I've got a little bit more money to play with.
Yeah, you've got some more money to spend. With that said, you might have some things to kind of deal with here. Do you have Wi-Fi? Because I do.
Yeah, I think so.
Are you sure?
I think this board has it, actually.
Oh, I'd be pretty surprised at that price point.
Nope.
Okay, so you're probably going to need some Wi-Fi. Why don't you go get some Wi-Fi?
I can get Wi-Fi.
Okay, cool.
I also need a cooler.
No, that should come with a cooler.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you should be good to go.
But it looks like the slim box.
Oh, shoot. Oh, that's a 7600. Yeah, you're going to need a cooler. Yep, you'll need a cooler. You'll need some Wi-Fi. I might have some other things to inform you that you're going to need, but why don't you go ahead and add those first and see how it goes for you?
Do I just get a cooler that I know won't fit in this case at all and just not worry about it?
No. I think you're probably going to need a cooler that fits in your case. Smart guy.
I could get something huge and it would be cool.
Yeah, you could just hot rod it. Let it stick out the side of the case.
I won't get something way too big, but I also just don't actually know what would fit in here. I
don't know. Maybe you guys can help him. Maybe you guys can help him a little bit. Like a low profile AM5, $55 for a Noctua cooler. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be doing that. I think PC Part Picker has clearance.
I'm assume that this one fits.
Sure. You know what?
It's not mad at me.
Good enough. Okay, go find a Wi-Fi card.
Or do I just upgrade the motherboard?
You could upgrade to a motherboard with onboard Wi-Fi. Yeah, totally.
$100. Let's see if I bonk that out, what I can get.
He bonked it. You can filter by having Wi-Fi, I think.
This is only like $20-something more. Is there a Wi-Fi thing?
Probably. I would think so. They've got pretty good filters.
Onboard Ethernet, onboard video.
I believe.
Hey.
Look at that. Oh, yeah, you're going to need like pretty good Wi-Fi, by the way.
Your Wi-Fi 7 or what?
I'm just going to check real quick, but I think so. It's either that or 6E. You know what? I'll allow 6E, but I'm going to double check what kind of Wi-Fi I have. Ugh. I mean, Apple has its own issues with shopping. It doesn't even freaking say.
6E apparently.
6E. Okay, there you go. Okay, so you can have Wi-Fi 6E. Okay. What are you at? How you doing for pricing?
It saves me $10.
$560. Wow! PC is $40 ahead. You're going to need Thunderbolt.
Oh. Can I sort by that? I doubt this thing has.
I'll tell you what. I'll allow no Thunderbolt. But what you will need is some USB-C ports. You got any USB-C ports?
I think so. Does the case have any? That's not the right picture. Yep.
You've got USB-C?
At least one.
You've got at least one? Does your motherboard support it? Does it have a front header for USB-C?
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, man. What do you got? What do you got, Luke?
I'm trying to see.
Oh, yeah, USB 3.2 Gen 1 headers.
Let's go.
Yeah, you got it. If that's the specs for the board there.
That is.
Wait, you have an ITX board?
Yeah, and now we have an MATX case. You're making me change things on the fly, my guy.
Well, look,
okay.
I'm trying to help you.
The RAM still fits. Everything still technically works.
I'm just trying to help you beat me. You need a 10-core CPU. Language.
I didn't actually say a word. I just made a sound.
And if it's got to have Thunderbolt, then it needs to be Intel, right?
No. AMD,
no, he gave me a pass on that one.
Yeah, and USB 4 is in some ways functionally the same.
Don't mention the graphics card. Shut up.
So, okay, where's your 10-core CPU at?
Hold on. Is there a core count? Yeah, there we go. Oh, wait, no. Other way around.
Yeah, technically every word is just a sound, so...
Hey, well, we don't need to get into technicalities over here.
Okay, so here we go.
See, I actually can't, because I can only get better than that, unfortunately. Also, not all cores are made the same.
Your cores are going to need to be pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to get into that.
Also, you're going to need a pretty decent GPU.
Okay.
Why don't you throw, just for the sake of argument, why don't you throw like a 3050? Why don't you throw a 3050 in there?
That's what you're saying is a pretty good GPU?
Well, it's onboard. You're gonna need what would be an extremely good onboard GPU. California 909 says 10-core ARM isn't the same as 10-core x86. California 909 needs to get caught up on some tech tips because ARM versus x86 is not the whole story. It's down to the actual design of the cores. And no, that is not the case.
Do we have to do the 10-core thing? Because there's actually just like not very many of those.
Tell you what. As long as you have a really solid 8-core CPU, I'll allow it.
Okay.
Current gen. Yeah, you're not going to be able to use a 7000 series.
Wait, no, that's not current. Okay.
Now that he's working on labs, he's going to be such a liability on the web show. Oh, man. That was great.
Wait, so isn't that the processor that I had?
No, you had a 7000 series. You're going to need 9000 series, my guy.
Oh, but no one actually likes those.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You're going to need a...
They're not very good.
They're fast and efficient. I mean, I'm going to draw way less power than you even with 9000 series. Fine. As long as you got 8 cores, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
8 cores, I'll allow it.
I genuinely think that processor was fine.
All right. How you doing over there? Good gravy. Goodness gracious.
The GPU is really the problem.
I mean, the whole thing is really the problem. Now it's my turn to shop.
Does this thing have integrated graphics?
Now it's my turn to shop. Yeah, but like not good enough.
They don't compare?
Check this out. For $600, I'm getting a 10-core CPU, whatever 10-core GPU means. But their onboard GPU on M4 is quite nice. 16 gigs.
What if you make that storage a respectable amount?
Well, we'll get to that.
What happens to the competition then? Huh?
We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah?
First up, I'm getting 16 gigs of unified memory and 256 gigs of SSD storage, which, honestly speaking, I actually don't mind as much as them nerfing the RAM.
Oh.
Because as someone who's going to use a NAS anyway, and who doesn't need storage on my PC.
Honestly, we tried to roll out, sorry to cut you off, but we tried to roll out some new standardized laptops. Dan will know about this too, to the business team, and we got viciously screamed and yelled at by your employees because of not having enough RAM. No, they were fine. But 16 gigs of RAM, they didn't like it.
Really?
Yeah.
Who? Sorry, what? For
business
what?
team capping out. Too many tabs.
Too many tabs.
So many Chrome tabs.
Too many tabs.
That is hilarious.
We've been through two or three laptops for some people because they have so many tabs that it just explodes.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to my customizing my Mac Mini.
You need to configure your RAM up and your storage up.
Well, yeah, but you only have 16 gigs of RAM, so that would affect your budget too. Hold on, we'll get to it.
I suspect yours will go up more.
The point is, I don't mind the SSD that much because I'm using a NAS for storage anyway. All right, I got 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. I have an HDMI port, a couple USB-C ports in addition to my Thunderbolt ports. Headphone jack, okay. Hold on. We're gonna get to RAM. We're gonna get to RAM in a second.
Those are expensive. I don't want to talk about this.
First of all, for my NAS, I'm gonna need 10 gig. I don't really need Final Cut Pro or Logic Pro.
That's fair.
The point is, at the base configuration, this
good enough for most people
is an absolutely killer machine.
Yep.
Is the only thing that I think that I would recommend for like Grandpappy.
Oh yeah,
needs a computer.
Mac Minis have been killer for a long time, and this is honestly a very good jump.
Dude, there's definitely going to be some stuff for us to talk about in the review, like the fact that they put the power button on the bottom. It's like, why?
How often are you turning off your computer?
Why? Yeah, but who cares? Why? It's like
aesthetics.
Aesthetics. You know, they redesigned the mouse again, and they put the charger on the bottom again.
Is there an Apple logo on the top of it?
Again, they put the charger on the bottom.
I'm not surprised.
Again.
Is there an Apple logo on the top of the Mac Mini?
Like, it's just, here, we can see the whole gallery. Right.
They should have just made that the power button.
Look, and it should glow. It should glow like the old MacBooks.
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
Where am I going to put my coffee then?
Oh my goodness. Anyway, the point is that
I don't like that.
This thing is absolutely killer until the second you want to upgrade it. So this is where things do get a little bit more complicated. You can see
We're
that
back, baby.
The $800 configuration changes only that you get 256 gigs of storage.
Trash.
So for context, let's just fire up the old newegg.com. What would 256 gigs... Actually, you know what? No. Let's see what 2 terabytes of of storage would cost me over on newegg.com.
Which is like gotta be basically I wouldn't say a minimum, but like pretty normal these days.
For $154.
And that's a nice WD black drive. Like there's a cheaper Samsung one right below it.
And even that is
Western
a nice
Digital one is even cheaper.
brand name drive.
Yeah.
That is a 990 Evo. That is a really
I'm
nice.
fairly certain for 2 terabytes you can get under $100.
That's a nice SSD. So Apple is literally charging an order of magnitude more than commodity SSD pricing for a storage upgrade. Oh, speaking of which, oh shoot, I forgot to have this added to the doc. But someone like hacked together Apple SSD upgrade harness or something. Oh no, I can't find it. If someone can find it, send it to me. But someone made a way to upgrade the SSDs in Macs, like some hardware hacker. And then things don't get much better. A mere 8 gigs of memory. Okay, so that appears to be the only upgrade, going from the $800 configuration to the $1,000 configuration. I get 8 more gigs of RAM. That will cost me another $200.
So go into the
For
manual.
context, here's 32 gigs of DDR5. Sorry. For context, here's 64 gigs of DDR5. Whoopsie doodles. For $200.
So go
Apple
into the.
just can't resist, Luke.
We don't need to do 64 gigs. Let's not.
They
wreck
can't
that
resist,
side too
brother.
hard. But let's go to 32 gigs on the Apple configurator and a 2 terabyte SSD. And how much does that cost?
All right. Let me start with my base. configuration. So
Because
you're going to make
the
me
business team would not accept.
You're gonna make me go all the way to-
accept 16 gigs.
and a 2 terabyte SSD.
And I think 2 terabyte SSD is fair.
Just as a reminder, guys.
Oh my gosh.
We just spent, on Newegg for 64 gigs of memory and a 2 terabyte SSD. We just spent about $350. We went from a $600 machine buying half as much memory, and the same, and actually less storage, slightly less storage, because we had the 256 gig to start. We went from a $600 machine to an $1,800 computer. That's how they get you.
That's a rip right there.
That's how they get you. Apple gives you the first hit for cheap.
Now I can just
JPH.
get whatever I want.
Yeah, you can have whatever you like.
Yeah.
So I think that our review of the M4 Mac Mini is going to be a little bit complicated because as a basic machine that kind of does 98% of what any non-gamer, so we're talking non-gamers, it'll probably do 98% of what 90+% of people would need. And it'll do it for a long time. Apple supports their products with software for a very long time. And that used to be a major strength for the PC platform, but I feel like it's actually been a little less. Things have been a little bumpy with trusted platform modules, with vulnerabilities that are only getting patched back a couple of generations.
Yeah.
You've got to give credit to Apple for the things that they do well. At that entry-level price, this thing absolutely slaps. But as soon as you start tweaking anything, Luke's sitting over here building an $1,800 computer right now, I guess.
I'm having fun.
Is that what you're working on? Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's see how you're doing over
So
here.
I upgraded to a 7800 X3D.
Yeah.
I upgraded to a 4070.
Yeah.
I haven't changed the SSD or the RAM yet, but that honestly won't increase
can you
the
at
price
least?
much.
Okay, I think you owe Apple a motherboard with like some USB 4 ports or
That's
something.
fair. Yeah. Let's do
like
that.
if we're gonna be somewhat fair to Apple here.
Yeah, I barely even really started.
Yeah, people want to see like a 4070 or something like that. Like, let's outperform this
It
thing.
was a 4070.
Oh, did you? No.
Yeah,
nice.
that was a 4070 in
Nice.
there. Motherboard shopping. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's fine. Just use filters. You got this. He's got this. Not to mention that you're going to have all the PC, like DIY PC benefits of, PCI Express slots that you can expand. And if you go AM5 in particular, which AMD has committed to support until I believe it's 2027, you may... Oh, sorry, I had something in my eye there. You may see future upgrades to the CPU that Luke has chosen, for example, that might offer measurable performance improvements, potentially. Allegedly. What you got there? Did you find a motherboard?
I still need Thunderbolt, right?
No.
We're not doing that?
As long as you got USB 4 and you got a decent number of USB-C ports,
I think this board's actually pretty legit then, in regards to features.
Okay, all right, cool. Cool, what else you got? You
could probably get a better cooler.
You could probably get more RAM if you wanted. What are you even at for your price?
These out. $1,360.
You're at $1,350. Wow.
Let's get 32 gigs of RAM. Why not? That seems pretty good.
All right.
It's less than $100, by the way.
I think we've made our point on this topic. We can move on.
I got a 4 terabyte drive just for fun. I'm still under your budget.
You got to rub it in like that, hey? All right, I see how it is.
I could get a sick Noctua cooler as well. Still be under budget.
Yeah, well, your computer's like huge, so the Mac Mini is mini. Get wrecked.
It is.
Yeah, get wrecked. Yeah. Get wrecked. I win.